Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Shana Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello. Hello, beautiful souls. So, welcome to day 4. Let me know how you went with day 3, if there was anything that you needed support with, any questions, any takeaways, aha moments. I'm loving what is being shared. So thank you so much for sharing on your social media, like everything that has been coming through. Don't forget to keep sharing and tagging so that you go into the draw to win an integration session. So just keep sharing, keep tagging, keep sharing those aha moments and takeaways, because that is going to be supporting someone as well. Everything that you're learning, everything that, is resonating with you, someone else needs to hear about that as well. So share as much and as far and as wide as you can to keep that message going, to keep that awareness and these tips and tools going as well. And doing it in the way that you do it. It's your magic. That's what people come to you for. That's why they're in your community. They want to hear from you. They want to hear what it is that you're learning, what you're taking away from everything. So just keep doing that. And I am so grateful for all of that. So thank you. So today, everything we have learnt about in the previous 3 days can absolutely work for some people, but some women need to go deeper. So sometimes what you would have done in those last 3 days with them may work, but they may still be getting blocks and subconscious barriers and self-sabotaging, but subconsciously, like unconsciously self-sabotaging. They don't know why. They can't do the thing. They can't reach that goal that they want. And this is where these next 2 days is actually going to come in really, really powerful, because it's understanding that it's not just something that either they can cognitize, something that they can think about, something that they could label. So it's understanding that they may be doing all of the things on a cognitive level, but they're still getting those sabotaging emotions, patterns, and it's coming from their body. So this is something that a lot of coaches, therapists, they don't actually go into or even acknowledge that pregnancy loss can be a very traumatic experience. And the trauma is held in the body. It's not in the mind. So you can talk about it and like till the cows come home. You can keep talking about it, but you're not going to get anywhere. And this is why those last 3 days are super powerful and so beneficial for those who don't have a traumatic imprint, but moving forward, if they have a traumatic imprint from their experience, this is where being able to view them through that trauma-informed lens is going to be very, very powerful, because we need to see everyone as if they've experienced trauma and offer them that depth of support so they get the results. Regardless of whether or not they've had the trauma, they're going to get the results from you because you're able to view them in that way. So today and tomorrow, we're going to be discussing all things trauma, how to process that, how to support them on that level, what that trauma looks like, what it's actually doing to their body. So you'll learn to discover healing from pregnancy loss by viewing it through a trauma-informed lens, gaining essential knowledge and skills to approach healing with empathy, understanding, and effective support strategies. So, like I said one of the first videos, I strategically have set up this method on purpose, very intentionally, because you cannot skip any of the steps. You need to go through this process to be able to get to this end place. So Monday, we covered grief and emotional literacy. We need to help them understand what those emotions are, help them understand how that's all playing out in their body before you can go on and help them start to understand those subconscious barriers and belief patterns that are also keeping them stuck. But if you don't have the capacity to process the emotions, you can't start to shift these thought patterns, because the lower vibrational emotions are going to be keeping you stuck as well. So you need to go through the grief and emotional processing, then coming into the thought rewiring, neuro reprogramming. So we need to understand then what's actually happening on a subconscious level. And then when you've got the tools, when you've been able to support them through that, and again, it's not going to be like this cut and dry type thing. It's going to be an ever evolving journey for them. So it just gets to the point where you're like, okay, they've been able to, show that they understand, that they're, integrating the tools that you're sharing with them in their day-to-day life. And then you can move on to the identity and purpose reconnection. So again, you cannot get to this place if you still have limiting thought patterns, if you still have unresolved emotional wounds. If you've still got those unresolved emotions and thought patterns, you cannot connect to a new identity that you want for yourself moving forward. So today, and again, like I said, those 3 points will be super powerful and beneficial to some women, but some women are going to need you to go deeper. So this is where we're going to then take these 3 points and view these women through a trauma-informed lens and add in trauma elements if they are experiencing resistance, if they're experiencing any self-sabotaging beliefs and patterns in any one of those first 3 points. So being able to view them through a trauma-informed lens is so very powerful and so missing in current support, whether it's from the medical system, whether it's from therapists. They're not actually viewing women as if they have experienced trauma. So, and then day 5, which is pillar 5, which we will cover tomorrow, and I will go through all of that with you tomorrow. So we need to understand that trauma is in the body, it's not in the mind. So this is why talk therapy, it's great, it has its place, but it may not be working. Those talk therapy style support So, it could be a therapist that's using it. It could be any healthcare professional that's actually using that style of support. It's not going to be working because they can't logically talk themselves into that sense of healing and recovery because their body still feels so unsafe to be there. So, this is where we really need to go deeper and understand, even just to have that awareness for yourself is going to help you view them in a completely different way and offer them a support that they're not going to get anywhere else. So again, this is very strategic, very intentional, the way that I have designed this, and you cannot bypass anything. You can go back through it once you've gone through it. You can, like I said, it can flow back. You can ebb and flow through all of the steps. But if you're starting out with someone, you can't just come in like halfway because maybe they've said they have done some healing before, which is, it's great that they have. But you can't just assume that what you're offering won't uncover some other things for them. So the way that you're offering it, the style, the way that you perceive things, the way that you talk about things is going to be different to anything that they've experienced before in any of their healing that they've done before. So don't underestimate yourself and can't always come in at pillar one, regardless of where they are in their journey. So today I'm going to share with you understanding trauma and its impact on pregnancy loss, understanding why traditional therapies don't work, addressing developmental and generational trauma, and I'm excited to share with you the certification and next steps. So this is where you can now dive into all of this. Everything that I have covered on these 5 days is only the tip of the iceberg. It's only scratching the surface. And the support that you're going to get inside of the program is going to just elevate anything that you have currently, or if you're starting out and you want to create something, it's going to give you the best possible foundation that you can in moving forward and creating that. So the certification, this is my baby, my second baby, third baby. And, this is something that I am so passionate about in terms of creating more support, more holistic support. And it's not, again, it's not just support that, women can kind of find out there already. This is something that isn't offered anywhere else. So you're not going to find this depth of understanding and awareness and the method that I've designed, you're not going to find that anywhere else. So, yes, you have heard me so much talk about what is involved in the certification, and what I have been speaking about over the last 4 days is just scratching the surface. So we dive deep into the 5 pillars of my signature pregnancy loss recovery method, into holistic healing after pregnancy loss to support the mother and to offer her the best possible opportunity for her life and subsequent pregnancies after loss. So, everything that you have seen here and more. You also get a certification and a Credly badge so that others can see what type of training you have done, what specifically you have dived into, what you can help them with. It's just going to add that extra bit of credibility to you and to your business. So, using my signature pregnancy loss recovery method, we cover emotional literacy, neuro reprogramming, identity reconnection, trauma informed care, and nervous system optimization, with the added bonus course of the postnatal support for bereaved mums. You get that for free. The opportunity to dive into epigenetics through the lens of pregnancy loss. This is such an innovative and groundbreaking course that really explains the the core foundations of essentially why we need to do this healing, why all of these changes are so important, because it actually comes down to our cellular makeup and the diagnoses that we've had in our health over the years. We can change those. We don't have to be bound by things that, we're told that we have. And this can also help in creating the best possible fertility outcomes for your clients, because you're giving them the best possible outcome internally and externally to heal and position themselves the best possible way to have a healthy pregnancy. So it's really going to aid in their fertility journey when you can understand the epigenetics the behind their environment, their internal and external environment, and help them shift things so they have the possibility of that outcome that they so truly desire. So not only do you get these two courses, the postnatal support course is for free. It is a three module course, but inside of each of the modules, they have multiple different videos. But the epigenetics course is a 10 module course. So it's not for free, but you get a substantial discount on that course by coming in as a practitioner. And I also have other incredible health experts at your fingertips inside the exclusive membership. So again, this membership is free and it has a long list of beautiful experts in there with all different healing modalities to support you as the professional, but also to support your clients so that you have little bits of extra knowledge and tips and tools that you can then also help your clients with as well. And a referral point. So if you feel like you can't help that person in that specific area, you have someone that you can refer to, or you have someone that you can talk to about that specific issue that they're presenting with. So not only you're coming through the program, you're coming through and you're leaving with a whole referral system and an extra depth of knowledge from so many different areas of expertise as well. So the course is all online, self-paced. You get one-on-one and group support as you navigate it, so you aren't left alone at any stage. I don't want you to ever feel like you're slipping behind or you're falling between the cracks. There is support for you. You get lifetime access to all of the course curriculum and external membership, which hosts guest experts in the health and healing professions. And anytime that I update the course, anytime that I add experts in, if you have completed the course, you still get access to those updates. So I always make sure that I let you know when I have added things in. When I'm having these guest expert calls, you can still jump on even if you have finished the program. So there is nothing to say that you can't continue learning as well from what I am bringing into the course. The content itself is about 38 hours. So if you break that down to probably 2 hours a week, you would finish that in about 6 months. You can do it quicker and finish it sooner and get your certification sooner. It just depends on obviously your lifestyle and where you can fit in the program around what you currently do. So it isn't just about the certifications, it's a reflection of the deep transformative journey and the extensive support you'll be able to provide. This course is through application only. So I will provide an application link to you if you do decide to apply. I will post the application link inside of the Facebook group under the thread for today. So I invite you to fill out the application link, sorry. And then from there, we will book a free call to discuss your next steps and how you can go, what that would look like moving forward.
One in 4 pregnancies will result in miscarriage. 1 in 8 women will experience infertility. 1 in 100 women will experience recurrent miscarriage. And 1 in 160 births end in stillbirth. Have you been wanting to make a difference in the lives of women or men who have experienced pregnancy loss because you can see so many suffering in silence, but you just don't know how? Collectively, we can change how bereaved parents can access mental, physical, and emotional support after their experience. There is a lot of women with unhealed trauma, and there is a huge gap in the current support system when it comes to bereaved parents' recovery after loss. There are too many women and men suffering in silence. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is a worldwide, one-of-a-kind program that gives you proven methods designed for healthcare professionals, medical staff, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth workers, coaches, and angel parents alike. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is bridging that gap. It will give you a proven support structure to follow and education specific to pregnancy loss, created by a lost mum. It is creating more education specifically for loss so that you can enhance your service and become the point of difference. Or you can create the support that you so desperately needed in your healing after loss. This is the next level of growth and expansion you have been searching for. So does this sound like something that you have been searching for? Let's explore this more together. You can head to the episode show notes where you'll find the program application, or direct message me on Instagram and let's open up the conversation in how you can use this education. You have a gift, and I look forward to supporting you and witnessing you bring your gift to the world, healing and transforming women's lives.
So the applications are open till midnight on Sunday. So to make sure that you are jumping in and taking action straight away from this 5 days, the applications for this program will be open until midnight Sunday, and you also will get the discount on the epigenetics course. It's about I think it's about 50% off the top of my head. So with that application, you can make sure that you take advantage of that discount. And I will also give you some extra one-on-one calls as a part of that as well, just to make sure that when you're inside the program, you are taking advantage of everything, you're not getting stuck, and we can work together the best way possible for you so that you feel like you're actually gaining the most value out of it. And also inside of the program, you do get access to my bespoke program creation intensive, which helps you create and integrate all of this knowledge that you have been learning inside of the program. So we spend an intense 5 weeks together building out or integrating the knowledge that you have learned inside of the certification into your current offerings, creating the most value possible and the most transformation possible for your clients. If you have any questions, please let me know, but I will post the application link in the thread for day 4. So if you are searching for it, just head to that day 4 thread and it will be in the comment section. Otherwise, you can reach out to me, DM me, ask me questions, and I can answer anything that you have through there as well. Okay, so let's dive into day 4. So trauma awareness, recognizing the impact of trauma on individuals who have experienced loss is essential for providing effective support. Trauma-informed approaches, utilizing trauma-informed approaches acknowledges the significance of past trauma and its implications for grief and healing. Safety and trust. Creating a safe and trusting environment is foundational to supporting individuals through their healing journey. And empowerment and choice. So, empowering individuals with choice and autonomy in their healing process fosters resilience and recovery. So, not all women will experience their pregnancy loss experience as traumatic. Trauma is a distressing experience that exceeds an individual's coping abilities, leading to feelings of helplessness, fear, and uncertainty. It can arise from various sources, obviously, like accidents, natural disasters, violence, abuse, or pregnancy loss, leaving it lasting emotional, psychological, and physical effects. Now, if the woman had been shown safety in those moments of her going through her loss, chances are this is where women don't embed their experience as trauma. But for most women, that isn't the case. They're often dismissed by the medical professionals. The care that they're given from the medical professionals isn't adequate, which is all embedding that trauma. They may even see a therapist or a counselor who dismisses or downplays their experience as well, not quite actually grasping the enormity of what they're going through, which again is embedding trauma, and it's like embedding anger and frustration, and they don't feel safe or seen. So this is where that whole trauma aspect of it can come in. So trauma is the absence of an empathetic witness. So this is what I mean when they don't get that support, that someone on the other side of them in those moments of fear and threat, and they're going through this horrible big event. If they don't have an empathetic witness, this is where that trauma embeds. So this quote means that when someone goes through a difficult or painful experience, it can be even harder for them if there's no one around who understands or supports them emotionally. Having someone who listens, cares, and helps them feel safe can make a big difference in how they cope with what they've been through, and may also mitigate the traumatic imprint. So this is what I mean, like not all women are going to have this traumatic imprint, but there's going to be a lot of women that do, because there is a lot of people out there who didn't get the support that they needed in those initial moments from the doctors, from the hospitals, from friends or family, from society, from mental health professionals. Trauma happens in the relational field of what was and what was not, how we were tended to when in pain, and how our need for support was met or not met in the aftermath of overwhelm. Being trauma-informed means understanding the widespread impact of trauma on individuals and being equipped to respond in a sensitive, empowering way. It involves recognizing the signs and symptoms of trauma, understanding how trauma can affect individuals physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and creating an environment that promotes safety and healing. Now, a lot of psychologists and counselors, like they're obviously going to provide that safe space, but a lot of counselors and therapists aren't trauma-informed counselors and therapists. So this is where you will become a point of difference for those who are experiencing pregnancy loss, because you're then more well equipped to help them understand that what they went through was a traumatic experience. Because society expects us to downplay our experience, We then think that this thing that happened, it was huge, but we're not allowed to do anything with it. So not only are we grieving and we've got heartache, we've also got this traumatic imprint that we're also having to downplay because it's not recognized, because society dismisses it and downplays it. So trauma-informed care from the perspective of pregnancy loss. The key foundations to trauma-informed care is safety, can involve creating a safe space where the patient feels comfortable expressing their feelings and reactions to their loss without fear or judgment. Trustworthiness and transparency may involve clear communication about what happened, the reasons for the pregnancy loss if known, and what to expect in terms of physical and emotional recovery. Peer support could include referral to support groups or individuals or couples who have experienced pregnancy loss. Collaboration and mutuality might mean involving the patient in decisions about follow-up care, including when to try for another pregnancy if desired. And on that topic, when people ask me when they should try to conceive again, I often, because a doctor is going to tell you, wait for one period or two periods, like wait for like one cycle or two cycles, and then you should be fine. Personal experience, that doesn't happen. It's, yes, you might feel okay, but your body is still going through the motions of loss and trauma. So when someone asks me when they should try to conceive again, I often ask them, how do they feel in their body? So yes, their mind might be saying, I want to try again, because they might be on a timeline. Their mind might be on a timeline, like I need to fall pregnant now so then I can do all of the things in the future. But their body is not on that timeline. Their body doesn't feel safe to be on that timeline. So how does their body feel when they actually tap in and listen and go, okay, what is it that I actually feel about, trying to conceive again? Listening to their body, quietening the mind, quietening that timeline, and enabling them to just listen and feel what it feels like when they ask themselves that question. Empowerment, voice, and choice could involve supporting the patient in expressing their grief in their own way and making choices about memorializing the loss if they choose. Cultural, historical, and gender issues would require sensitivity to how different cultures understand and mourn pregnancy loss, ensuring that care is respectful and inclusive. Now, I also want to mention with like termination for medical reasons, I've had a lot of students and a lot of people ask me, does that fall into pregnancy loss? And can you support people through that as well? Yes, you can. You can support women who are going through termination, because if it was a wanted pregnancy, they're still going through the motions of trauma, of grief, of heartache. You can still, even if you stripped back the experience, the emotions are there. The emotions are very much the same. They've got the added layers, though, of having to choose to terminate their pregnancy. So you can absolutely still support them, and then you will be adding in layers of how you can support them through making that decision. And it's not an easy decision that they would have had to make. So how can you support them through that? And understanding everything else, you can still support them. They are still navigating very similar emotions. So trauma awareness, although it is important to note, it's not the event that is trauma, it's the person's physical ability to cope with that event. If trauma was just the event, once the event had passed, the trauma will pass too. But it's not the event, it's how we are equipped to cope with that, and if we've had that empathetic witness. So hence why if you have two women who experience the exact same event, one may embed it as trauma and one may not. If it was the event, once the event passed, the person would go back to normal, but that is not the case. Pregnancy loss can be classified as big T trauma and also little t trauma. So big T trauma is the term used to refer to significant major traumatic events that typically involve serious threats to a person's life, physical integrity, or safety. These events often result in acute distress and can have enduring psychological impacts. Little t trauma is a term used to describe less severe but still distressing or challenging experiences that can have a cumulative impact on an individual's well-being. These events may not involve immediate threats to life or physical safety, but they can still elicit strong emotional responses and disrupt a person's sense of security and stability. Now, I do believe that pregnancy loss falls into both of these categories, especially if you've had one experience that is like a big T trauma that um, feels like it has overridden all of your body's survival responses and you're in that sense of threat. And little T trauma is essentially something that is a bit more, it could be like that cumulative impact. It could be repetitive and it could be multiple losses. That cumulative impact of multiple losses culminating in causing trauma, still embedding trauma in your body. So I do believe it comes under both of these categories. Trauma shapes our worldview because we're not safe. We are hypervigilant, always on alert, always looking over our shoulder to see what is going to jump out and attack us or trigger us, or we shut down. So when we're always on alert, it means that our neuroception has altered our neuroception. And what neuroception is that ability for our body to read the external environment and go, okay, things are normal. When we've got trauma embedded in our body, our neuroception reads the world as a threat. And you're always on alert, you're hyper vigilant, you're always on alert, waiting for that thing to trigger you, and then you go into the states of fight or flight, freeze or shut down. Oh, sorry, fight or flight, freeze or fawn or shut down. If we have no safety, we are disconnected from ourselves and other human beings and disconnected from life itself. So why traditional therapies don't work 100% of the time, which is what I was mentioning before. Trauma is stored in the body. The traumatic imprint is in the reptilian or mammalian part of the brain stem and the limbic system, in the place where they felt their survival was threatened. And this is not in your conscious human brain. In a traumatic event, the blood flow goes out of the neocortex into the cerebellum and limbic system. So you cannot use the neocortex, which is our human thinking conscious part of the brain, to talk yourself out of, being threatened or to talk yourself into healing and recovering. We need to come back into those parts of the brain, so the cerebellum and the limbic system, to resolve the survival physiology, because that's the state that we are in at the time of the imprint. We can't just talk about it. You have to physically resolve it. And so the limbic system is connected to the brainstem and your spine. So your spine goes down into your body, and this is where we need to resolve the trauma in the body, not in the neocortex or conscious part of our brain. So when a nervous system is in overwhelm and stored emotional energy doesn't find completion, a potentially traumatic event becomes a traumatic imprint. And then this creates our painful narratives. Again, we create very strong beliefs about ourselves and the world. So the world isn't a safe place. There is something inherently wrong with me. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. No one can love me. I can't love myself or my body. My body failed me. Not even my body is a safe place. The world, universe, God is out to get me. So not only do we have the limiting beliefs from childhood, from our conditioning that I was talking about the other day, we now have also the layer of the traumatic imprint causing painful narratives and exacerbating what we potentially, the belief system we already had. Pregnancy loss trauma can impact the developing baby, potentially leading to developmental trauma. So, developmental and generational trauma is so very real. And again, this is very, it's widely known, developmental and generational trauma, but when you're talking about it in the perspective of pregnancy loss, because trauma isn't really acknowledged, pregnancy loss really isn't acknowledged as trauma, this whole generational piece of trauma and subsequent pregnancies isn't really acknowledged either. But this is 100% valid, backed by science. We need to support women to help them break these patterns, help them heal their trauma so they have the best possible outcome for future pregnancies and the best possible outcome for their child in those future pregnancies. So they're not carrying through the trauma from their mum, from their grandmom, and all of the generations prior. They are breaking that generational pattern. So, furthermore, unresolved trauma from pregnancy loss can contribute to generational trauma, affecting future generations' emotional well-being and resilience. So just a little bit about developmental trauma. From conception, around 18 months, babies experience the world pre-consciously, absorbing sensations without forming conscious memories. If a mother experiences significant stress during pregnancy, it can elevate the baby's stress hormone cortisol, predisposing them to a hypervigilant state. This early exposure to stress may result in the baby displaying behaviors such as clinginess, restlessness, or increased mischief as they adapt to anticipate a stressful environment. So it doesn't even necessarily mean that the mum has to have experienced a stressful experience in that pregnancy. It can be that she's storing trauma in herself, and this is then causing that stressful experience within her pregnancy, that subsequent pregnancy after loss. So the trauma is very much in the body. So the baby is even storing those responses. They're learning those responses from the mum, and it's stored in their body because their conscious mind isn't even online yet. So developmental trauma starts from the age of 0 to 7. These are the foundational years and become who we are and how we show up later in our adult years. But it is very much formed from those preconscious, precognitive sensations that we had in utero. And then the baby is born anticipating a stressful environment. So it then starts to act in that way, embedding behaviors, patterns, beliefs about themselves, all because we potentially didn't heal that trauma prior to falling pregnant again. And it's not to say that if you're helping someone, after in pregnancy, after loss, and if they haven't processed these emotions and the trauma, that it's a bad thing, that they can't, they're doomed. At any moment, they can support themselves, and any moment they can support their child as well in navigating those sensations and emotions and thought patterns that the child is also having. teaching them emotional intelligence, teaching them how to navigate the world. You can always learn and grow, and you can always offer support to the children as well. So the developmental will show up in the child growing up as difficulty with self-regulation, so struggle to self-soothe or manage stress, cognitive impairments, memory, attention, physical symptoms, somatic complaints, headaches, stomach aches, constant state of hypervigilance and hyperarousal, always on edge and easily triggered, while others may display a lack of responsiveness or seem emotionally numb, so hypoarousal. Emotional dysregulation, difficulty regulating their own emotions, attachment difficulties, and behavioral issues. So, why choosing our healing matters. When developmental trauma is not adequately addressed in childhood, it can have far-reaching effects that extends across generations, leading to what is known as generational trauma. And there are 3 ways that this can manifest, or I'm going to share with you anyway. There's more, but I'm going to share with you 3 ways that this can manifest. Parenting challenges. So, adults who have experienced developmental trauma may struggle with parenting their own children due to unresolved issues from their past. This can create a cycle of trauma being passed down from one generation to the next. Emotional dysregulation. Generational trauma can contribute to emotional dysregulation in family members, affecting their ability to cope with stress, regulate emotions, and communicate effectively. And this emotional dysregulation is very apparent from like older generations who just don't know how to deal with emotions. It's all about that emotional literacy and emotional intelligence as well. But it's very apparent, like when you think about the older generations and how they deal with emotions. Interpersonal relationships, trauma can impact the way individuals interact with others, affecting their ability to trust, communicate, and establish healthy boundaries in relationships. It can also be that adults are constantly in and out of relationships because they don't know how to process that environment, that experience. So they may be, getting with someone and then breaking up with them, getting with them, breaking up with them, like, and constantly in and out of those patterns. Okay, I know that was a lot. So if there is any questions, I would love to hear from you. And I would absolutely love to hear your takeaways. Please let me know what is resonating with you. Again, this is all such sort of tip of the iceberg stuff. I would absolutely love to dive deep with you in this. I touch on obviously the generational trauma and all of that inside of the pregnancy loss certification, but that then goes a hell of a lot deeper in the epigenetics course as well. So they tie very well into in with each other. But let me know how you went. If you have any questions, please pop them in the Facebook group and I will endeavor to support you there. You can also DM me, reach out to me, ask me the questions as well. You will have homework from today. Let me know if you want to share it, you can. Um, Let me know your biggest takeaways inside the Facebook group, or again, tag me on social media. Let me know your takeaways there, and I will reshare everything that you are sharing. Um, and yeah, lean on the Facebook group as much as you need during this time as well. I am just about to jump on the VIP session with Gretel today. We're talking about PTSD for those who are navigating pregnancy loss. And like I mentioned the other day, there's the statistics about 1 in 6 women, I think, will experience PTSD after pregnancy loss. So we're diving into the traumatic imprint and how we can start to mitigate PTSD, because PTSD doesn't have to be a lifelong diagnosis and there is support. I've heard a lot of women say that there isn't support for those who have been diagnosed with PTSD after pregnancy loss. They've just been left on their own. So this is going to be super beneficial. And again, if you jump into the pregnancy loss practitioner certification, you do get access to these incredible guest speakers as well. Lots of love, and I look forward to supporting you on day 5.
Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.